Welcome to another Photoshop tutorial from tutorvid.com. This tutorial is going to show you how to isolate an image or isolate some objects in an image and show you a couple ways to do that. So in this image I want to isolate this hand and the plate on a totally white background. And so the first thing I'll do is duplicate my background with Ctrl J. Now one popular simple method is to use the dodge tool over here, and I don't usually use that, and I'll show you a couple of reasons. To dodge an image for isolation, you would select highlights because we want to dodge the highlights and make them brighter. Exposure, perhaps fairly strong. I'll put that at 40. And then I just paint or dodge on the screen and you can see it going white. And then I can get fairly close and even paint a little bit on the arm, and mostly the background gets erased to pure white and not very much of the arm. One problem with this, however, is when I paint on the edge of the hand, you see that the hand is getting slightly lighter. If I were to do another pass, it gets even lighter. So I'm reducing the quality of my object when I'm trying to isolate it. And in addition to that, as you can see later, I'll leave this as isolated, but I'll show you that it doesn't get quite isolated like it should. Another option is just with the brush tool. Press D to get the default colors, and then flip these to get white, and then just paint the white color. This one you'd have to zoom in to 100% or 200% preferably, and then with a small brush you have to paint by the edge of the object. This is pretty labor intensive, and it can be used if you need to do some fine adjustments to a layer or do something quick, but generally doesn't give you a perfect result for large isolations. But the one thing you can be sure of is that you will get 100% white background, and for large areas like up in the top here, you can just quickly paint and that works quite well. So the real foolproof way for isolating is to get your area, and I'll isolate this area in here now, and using the pen tool, which is down here, and then drawing a selection. You'll have to check out a pen tool tutorial if you're not sure how to use it. It is a little bit confusing to learn how to use, but if you figure out at least the basics, it'll be quite a bit quicker than using the lasso tool or something. So I'll just fast forward here until I've finished isolating this. So there's my pen path, and now that that's selected, I right click and click make selection, and I'm going to feather the selection a little bit to 2 pixels because images are never 1 pixel sharp, so it's good to feather this a little. And now you can see the selection is actually everything outside, so I have to flip the selection by pressing Ctrl Shift I, and that'll make the selection of just this little box. And now I can fill that with the foreground color, which is white, with Alt Backspace, unselect with Ctrl D, and there you have a perfect white. Now when you think you have your entire image isolated, you can see that it isn't isolated down here, but I'll show you the technique I would use. Create a new curves layer, and then pull the middle down until you have an extremely contrast image like this, and there you can see where there is parts of the image that should be white that aren't. And you can see if you look at the top here where I tried to do my dodging, it's hardly white at all. I would have to dodge quite a bit longer, and by that time this arm would be totally wrecked. So dodging isn't the best technique. Where I brushed, it worked good. It would be a little bit more work, and where I did my selection, it's a very clean cutout. So then you can hide your curves layer and use the technique to finish up the rest of this image. I'm going to use the pen tool again, and I'm going to select the entire hand. So the nice thing about the pen tool is curves like around the thumb here is you can create one dot and stretch the line to perfectly match the roundness of your object. If you were using the selection tool, you'd have to do 100 spots here, and you would still get it a little bit jagged. So I'll just quickly finish this. Just one thing, while you're going around the edge of the image, if you zoom out, you can click on the outside of the image here, so you don't have to try select the very edge. You can just click really wide out, and then when you make your selection, it'll do a perfect edge. Alright, so I'll finish clipping this now. Okay, so I have my path here, and then I'll make my selection. 2 pixels feather, and then flip. And now fill it with my background, foreground, Alt backspace. And now if we zoom in, you can see the edges look good. And if I put on this curves layer that made a strong contrast, you can see how much nicer it is. And I can see there's still a spot in here that I haven't gotten. If I was just going to do that a little bit, I might be tempted just to use the brush tool. If you have a Wacom tablet, you can brush into the little spots like that pretty quickly. And in here, you can also brush with that layers when the contrast is on, so you can see where your white is. And then to finish the image, I can erase this curves layer, edit it to how I would like it. And that's it. Check out more tutorials on tutorvid.com.